How's it guys, this is Dayvy, FPL, and welcome back to the Fantasy Premier League video here on my channel. Now in this video, I'll be taking you guys through my very own transfer plan for the upcoming Game Week 4. So hopefully Game Week 3 was an absolute banger for you guys. I'll be going over a quick review of how my team actually got on and whether it was a red or a green arrow. Then after that, I'm going to turn all the attention to the upcoming Game Week 4, 2 free transfers, about 2 million left in the bank, so quite a few upgrades can potentially be made. Now before I talk about my actual transfers, I'll be going over a little bit of context, show you guys my current team selection, as this early into the Premier League season, the team is still looking pretty decent. So if that's something that you guys are interested in, sit back, relax, and let's get straight into it. So going over a quick review of Game Week 3, let's see how our starting 11 did. Well, luckily yet again, last game week, this game week, 56 points on the cards, a nice little green arrow to 130k. So this start to the Premier League season has been so much better than last year. If you guys do recall, if you were watching my videos last year, we were about the 2.3 million mark. So much better start has been done this season. So fingers crossed we can keep up this massive start, because if we do, it's going to be a great FPL season. Now the last thing about the right hand side is going to be the 2 free transfers, and as mentioned, about 2 million left in the bank. So I'll show you guys the upgrades that I'm thinking about doing. Now before we talk about the actual team review, thank you to all you new legend members. I know in the last deadline stream, we had a lovely amount of gifted members. I think it was 10 in total. So hopefully you guys are enjoying those new memberships. And I also want to remind you guys that I won't be announcing my transfers on Twitter anymore. I'll be doing that only to the legend members on YouTube and Discord. But you guys will always be seeing my moves and my team in the team selections and the deadline streams. So follow me over on Discord. I have a lot of free channels there as well where I do reply, or over my Twitter page at DayvyFPL. But going on to the actual team selection, I'm going to do things in the reverse order. I'm not going to talk about the bench to start off with, because the bench was pretty useless in Game Week 3. Let's go on to our starting goalkeeper. Unfortunately with Johnston, the bad news didn't end at only the 2 points being scored against Brentford. Now that was a very tough fixture because Brentford on super good form, so I wasn't expecting him to actually get a clean sheet. No save points also came, so that game was a pretty boring one. But the big news this week is that Dean Henderson is signed for Crystal Palace from Manchester United. Now why they did that move, I don't exactly know. I think that Johnston is a perfectly fine goalkeeper, but if you're signing a new goalkeeper for about £20 million, surely he's going to rival for the first choice. Now I'll talk about this a little bit later on when we talk about the upcoming fixtures, but for the time being, just know that Johnston might have some competition. Now let's go into the rest of our defensive department, and we're going to go over Ben Chilwell first. Managed to get a clean sheet unlike Gusto, who got a few attacking returns, but I'm pretty sure Chilwell will get a few in the upcoming game weeks. Now Chelsea had a pretty easy fixture against Luton on Friday, so at least our weekend started off pretty nicely. Now he did have a few chances to actually score and get forward. The big one was when he was one-on-one with the goalkeeper from a Jackson assist, but he ended up passing straight at the defender instead of shooting at goal. Now he mentioned on social media after the game that he's going to do some practice shooting this week, so fingers crossed he actually completed that. Just imagine if he did score that. You guys know I brought in Jackson this week, a Jackson assist, a Ben Chilwell goal, absolute scenes. Now unfortunately the good luck didn't kind of continue through the rest of our defenders. We had Saliba only got 1 point against Fulham after conceding 2 goals, the first one in the opening 5 minutes. Now Gabriel was actually benched in this one as well, but fortunate for you owners, if you had a Gusto and a Doggy on the bench, you would have made up all the points that Saliba got over Gabriel in the opening game weeks. Obviously we didn't, we owned Saliba, so only the 1 point appearance. Arsenal yet again showing that it might not be the best defense. Then talking about not the best defenses, let's go over Brighton, but the thing about this is that we knew they weren't a great defense. They conceded a lot of XG over the opening games, and we basically were relying on a Stupinan for attacking returns. Now against West Ham, none were going to come, and I did mention this might be the game week that a Stupinan blanks. So as you guys can see, the defenders, pretty low performances from them. Let's hope the midfielders do improve. Now last week I said I'm going to start off with the good and then talk about the bad. Well this week it's the reverse. It's the same player though in Mbumo, but he ended up blanking. Now at his price point, I 100% don't mind him blanking every once in a while, but there was a lot of expectation coming from Game Week 1 and 2. But against Crystal Palace, my goalkeeper, I knew they were a pretty strong defense, so I'm willing to give Mbumo this one. Then the next double up, we're getting slightly better here. It's going to be Bukayo Saka and Martinelli. Martinelli unfortunately ended up blanking once again, might not be the best FPL asset this season, especially with Nketiah leading the line. If you guys don't know, Martinelli's stats with Nketiah up front aren't that great, but he actually was benched for the start of this fixture, but came off and actually scored. So don't you know what to do at the moment with Martinelli, might be kind of an XG minutes concern as well, so I'll talk about that a little bit later on. But Bukayo Saka, what did we say? Let's hope this week that he wins a penalty and actually keeps it. That's exactly what happened. Stepped up, slotted it to the right hand side, virtually uncontested. So the big news is that he's potentially going to be on penalties yet again. Now will this mean that the next penalty is going to be his? Who kind of knows, as it seems like Arsenal might rotate takers. but just super happy that he ended up scoring one in Game Week 3, as that means there's a chance in the upcoming game weeks. Now luckily, we said that we're going to hold on to these two United assets, Bruno and Rashford. They both ended up returning. Rashford a lovely 7-pointer, but Bruno even better with the massive 12. Now both their two stats were looking pretty decent, had a nice comeback victory against Forest on the weekend, and I think they actually could have had more than these points. But I'm not going to get greedy here. Over the opening 2 game weeks, they returned nothing, so 7 and 12 is absolutely massive, and I might just actually keep both of them because they're looking pretty good. Now the big news that came about the weekend was Rashford reverted back to that left wing position. I personally think that he's better there than centre forward, and I guess this might be true just in terms of FPL points because now he's on 7 versus the 2 in the previous game weeks. Now Bruno also converted a penalty, which now means that he's going to be on penalties. I know there might be a little bit of a question between Rashford and Bruno who would take it. But Bruno just involved in every kind of facet of Manchester United's attack, assisting, scoring. Seems like he might be undroppable from your teams. But at least the United assets did kind of improve this game week, revived our midfield department quite a bit, and the Saka points also helped out. Now let's go into our forward department, and this week I'm going to start off with Erling Haaland, our captain. Ended up missing a penalty, hit the woodwork on it, but ended up scoring late onto that fixture, so he ended up on 4 points. Now basically everyone captained Erling Haaland, so even though he scored 4 points, not the end of the world, everyone has him, the gains are super marginal. You just have him, captain him, and then you forget about it. It's a little bit kind of a weird mindset there when people saw miss the penalty and then score. There was basically no emotion lost in that decision, and that's all because his effective ownership is so high. So we could have gone for some other assets. I might have gone for a Saka, Rashford, Bruno, or even the new man Jackson, but no regrets in this decision. So we spoke about Jackson already, but I actually transferred Jackson in for Ollie Watkins. In terms of Game Week 3, that move has paid off. Jackson outperformed Ollie Watkins by 2 points, but as you guys know, things are super close in terms of the ranks, so 2 points is pretty massive. Not only do we get kind of better fixtures now from Jackson, that move has already paid itself off, so I'm actually pretty happy with that. Now Jackson could have had a lot more. I already spoke about the Ben Chilwell chance, it was a Jackson assist, but he looks like he's going to be a great option in that Chelsea team. Now yes, he might not be the kind of best FPL asset, works really hard but doesn't really get the most points, but I still feel over this easy fixture run, he could be absolute gold. Now if you guys did have Raheem Sterling, his colleague, congrats on that one, a massive haul for you guys in Game Week 3, and let's see if that continues. So in terms of my starting 11, you guys can see 56 points came about. I'm just going to quickly run through our bench because Turner got 3 points, Baldock only scored 1, Bayer was actually injured, and then finally Archer got his move to Sheffield United. So the bench wasn't called on for this week, so no Gusto, no Udogie left on the bench, which would have probably saved me a transfer going into this week. So that's going to be my Game Week 3 team review. Let me know how your Game Week went in the comments down below. How many points did you guys get, and where are you sitting in the overall ranks? Now as mentioned in the introduction, I'm going to give you guys some context of how the team is currently setting up before we talk about those Game Week 4 transfers. This is simply just for kind of context. I want to show you guys the moves and the kind of mindset that I'm going into Game Week 4 with, and which of the players I'm looking to replace. So let's go over the bench quickly because it kind of picks itself. The only thing that's changed is the benching order. Now that Archer has been confirmed at Sheffield United, he has a nice fixture against Everton at home. Now would I play him? I don't really think so. I think he's a fine option to come off the bench if needed, but not good enough to be in the starting 11. Otherwise, Turner has Chelsea away. I own Jackson. That's kind of counterproductive. Think that Chelsea are on good form. Nottingham Forest should probably concede, but Turner's been getting a few save points. Then Baldock has Everton at home. That's a fine fixture in my opinion. Not a great side at the moment, Everton. So if I do need a defender, he can always come off. Then finally, Bayer has Spurs at home. However, he might be injured for the upcoming game week, so keep your eyes on that one. But going over our starting 11 and the goalkeeper picks itself, it's Johnston against Wolves at home. Let's see if Johnson can do what Pickford didn't and keep a clean sheet on the weekend. So fingers crossed that he actually just features. I just hope that he starts this game. I do think that Johnson should probably be the goalkeeper for the next couple game weeks, and then Dean Henderson might be phased in. But let's just see what the manager says in the press conference on Friday or Thursday, because it might actually be a concern of ours if we don't have a starting goalkeeper. If you guys have also seen the news, apparently Nottingham Forest have also bid for a new goalkeeper, so Turner might also be dropped. But as mentioned, for the time being, I'm only going to move Johnston on once he's dropped, so let's keep him for now. Then our back line of Ben Chilwell, Saliba and Estupiñán. Now Ben Chilwell definitely has the best fixture out of these three, even though Forest have actually been attacking pretty well. So will Chelsea keep a clean sheet? I don't exactly know, but he's a fine option for this week with his attacking form. Then with Saliba as United at home, not a great fixture on the cards. That Arsenal defense this season hasn't been that strong, and I do also own Bruno and Rashford. So definitely one of the positions I'm looking to change is either benching him or actually transferring him out, because his attacking threat isn't that high as well. At least Estupiñán does offer that attacking threat, is against Newcastle in Game Week 4 though, so I'm not expecting too much from him. So these two defenders, in kind of a perfect world, I probably would want to bench both of them, but with Estupiñán's attacking threat, I might just play him against Newcastle. Then going on to midfield department, Mbeumo has Bournemouth at home, very nice fixture on paper, I think that he should do well. Then our two double ups actually play each other. So game week 4, let's just hope there's a lot of goals in this game because United vs Arsenal, we own 4 of their players in the midfield, so we honestly need some goals or some attacking threat. Now am I concerned about this fixture? Probably not actually. I think that both of these teams haven't been that great defensively, can see both teams actually scoring in this one, so let's hope our options are involved. But it's going to be a home game for Arsenal, so they do have the edge, but really tough to call who's going to win this one. Then finally, our department is going to be Haaland as our captain against Fulham at home. Great fixture on paper, continuing this lovely Man City run. Then Jackson has Forest at home, great fixture on paper. I think that Chelsea should probably score in this one. So let's see if Jackson's going to be the scorer. So the forward department, no concerns there, but I have just spent a transfer on it, so that's kind of an expectation. So definitely the 2 transfers are probably going to be used in our defensive department or our midfielder slot, because I do worry about that United vs Arsenal game. Otherwise, one of the bench options can be upgraded, as we do have about 2 million left in the bank. So before we talk about the actual transfer plan, I want to give you guys some context of these midweek games. It's going to be the League Cup. There's going to be some very early round fixtures, so a lot of the second team should be playing, but there might be 1 or 2 injuries to some first team options. So Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday, keep you guys eyes on these midweek games, as there are a few Prem teams actually featuring. But wouldn't look too much into these games though in terms of kind of minutes and selections. As mentioned, probably the second teams are going to be featuring. So let's go over our transfer plan, and if you guys can remember, I've got 2 free transfers, 1.9 million left in the bank, so I definitely have to use 1 transfer by the game week 4 deadline. So if you guys recall, I have got Saliba in my starting 11, not really confident on Arsenal keeping a clean sheet, so defensive transfer is going to be on my mind. Now there are a few selections at the current moment. There's going to be kind of the Man City defense, even though they lost their clean sheet on the weekend, their stats are still looking pretty strong, but I think I'm going to go more budget. So the 2 budget options I'm currently targeting, well the first one is going to be probably the main one, it's Dayvy from Spurs, and he's risen in price to 4.6 million. Now if you guys have seen him on the weekend, looks absolutely outstanding, getting forward, but they're still getting the clean sheet, and the new Spurs manager has them playing a very nice brand of football. Now just look at those next 2 fixtures, Burnley away, Sheffield United at home. I honestly think those might be 2 clean sheets, plus whatever attacking threat Dayvy does offer. Now I was slightly concerned about some rotation with Ben Davies, but on the weekend we saw that he was first choice yet again, and simply looks undroppable at the moment. Now the only concern that there might have been was a potential knock that he picked up in that weekend fixture, but the manager after the game came out and said that he should be fine for the weekend. So just keep your guys' eyes on that. I might monitor that leading into the press conference coming up on Thursday or Friday, but if he is going to be fit, probably the main choice from a defensive point of view. Now in terms of who replaces in my 15 players, it probably won't be Saliba. I have enough money in the bank to upgrade one of my 4.0s, and Bayer's on the chopping block as he's currently injured. So my current plan transfer that's probably going to be leading me into that game week 4 deadline is Bayer out or Baldock out for Dayvy, and I can afford this upgrade quite easily. Now there's another transfer that I could potentially make. It's going to be kind of a straight swap, 4.0 to a similarly priced defender. It's going to be Gusto from Chelsea. Now on the weekend, obviously outperformed Ben Chilwell, was getting forward loads, and I think he's a great option to actually get if you guys want someone cheap. My only concern though is that Reece James should probably be returning about game week 5, game week 6, and therefore Gusto might be quite a short-term option. But saying that though, the next 2 fixtures, Forest at home, Bournemouth away, great fixtures on paper here, so a very nice short-term punt. But personally, because I have the funds, I do prefer Dayvy as a slightly more long-term option, and actually do prefer the Spurs fixtures from a defensive point of view. But saying that, if you guys do want to go for Gusto, that's 100% fine, but please just remember that if you do get him, you are blocked from getting Sterling if you already have Ben Chilwell and also Jackson. So I'm leaving that spot open, and you guys will see why in terms of my other transfer. So currently Bayer to Dayvy looks more likely. Now the next transfer I'm probably going to make as well, so I will be probably using both free transfers this game week. It's going to be Martinelli out and getting in another midfielder. Now I've kind of already spoke about why I want Martinelli out. The fixtures will get slightly tougher for Arsenal, but there is kind of an expected minutes concern, and Martinelli overall hasn't been playing that great. Now I know on the weekend picked up about 0.5 XG involvement, which is pretty decent, but he just seems like he's a little bit out of form. Will Arteta kind of rotate the squad after that Fulham loss? Who kind of knows? Maybe we see Trossard on the left, or formational change. All I know is that Martinelli is simply not performing for me. Now yes, they do have Everton in game week 5, which is a great fixture on paper, but in between Spurs and United, I think I can get an option for the short term that has better kind of returns. So obviously the one on everyone's mind is going to be Raheem Sterling, currently going to complete our Chelsea triple up if we do get him in, and he has Forest, Bournemouth and Villa in the next 3. Now the nice thing about him as well is that he's going to be playing kind of every single minute. Yes, he was subbed a little bit before the full-time whistle, but he had already done his damage. So Sterling for me is a very kind of nice replacement to go for, a more kind of explosive option than these other players, and that's why he's quite attractive. Now I'm going to talk about these other options before kind of comparing them. So the next option I might be looking at is James Maddison from Spurs, and as you guys know, with the Dogie, has Burnley away, Sheffield United at home, and then Arsenal away as well. Now we'll also add, after that Arsenal game, the fixtures still look pretty decent from a Spurs point of view, so Maddison's definitely kind of a medium-term hold. Now the thing I love about Maddison is that he's so involved in that Spurs attack on all the set pieces, very involved in the attacking department, and that's why overall just looks like a great asset. Now like Raheem Sterling, a very kind of high expected minutes returner, and I can see him playing basically 90 minutes every single game week. So I do consider him in a comparison with Raheem Sterling to be slightly more consistent, might not be as explosive but probably going to get a good amount of points over the next couple game weeks. Now the only thing I don't really like from an attacking point of view is these kind of fixtures coming up. I don't really think that Burnley, Sheffield United are the most high scoring teams. Definitely from a defensive point of view, I do like these fixtures, but from an attacking point of view, might not be as explosive. Don't know if you guys do agree with me there, but we kind of saw it with Man City. Sheffield United put up a pretty good fight, and Burnley aren't too shabby themselves. But I do still really like him as a Martinelli replacement, as he just has so many avenues for points. And the final option this week caused quite a stir when he was benched on the weekend against Sheffield United. It's Phil Foden, who was actually sick. So unfortunately for you kind of new owners, Phil picked up an illness throughout the week and therefore wasn't fit enough to actually start the fixture. But he came off the bench anyways, got you owners an assist, which is still pretty decent. Now what I will add about the Man City attack is once Phil Foden came onto the field, they looked like a new team and that attacking department just flows better with him in the team. So I can see him starting the majority of games coming up, and any kind of Man City attacker that's going to start the majority of games is going to get you FPL points. Fixtures aren't too bad either. We've got Fulham, West Ham, Nottingham Forest in the next 3, and if he starts all of those games, the points should probably be there. Now unfortunately with Phil Foden and this kind of rotation concern, he's probably my third favourite option. I think that Sterling and Maddison are slightly more guaranteed, and therefore I do favour them. But from a kind of explosive nature, a haul potential, Phil Foden is the man to go for, but I'm slightly more conservative. So at the current moment, Maddison is kind of catching my eye slightly more than Raheem Sterling. He looks like a sensible option to potentially go for. So yes, the 2 moves this week are looking like they're going to be 2 Spurs assets. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Do you think that I should go for Raheem Sterling rather? Do you think Phil Foden's the option to go for? And I generally think Udogie should be the general consensus. If you guys can think of any moves I could also make, drop them in the comments down below. I might even have to take a -4 hit to take Johnson out this week. Let me know what moves you guys are also making in terms of Game Week 4. Always like to see what you guys are thinking about. But this is basically going to wrap up the video, guys. Hope you guys did enjoy it. Please don't forget to like if you did and subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. Don't worry, we'll be doing a comparison between Foden, Maddison and Sterling in the Ultimate Guide coming up shortly. Otherwise, catch my team selection coming up later in the week. But I'm signing off. It's been Dayvy FPL and I'm out. Cheers, bye.